But I think also as aerospace engineers, we have to assume the worst, right?
Yeah. If we can get Apollo 13 back on Earth, then this should be peanuts, right?
Yes, exactly. But it's a
All right.
trial.
Yeah.
Great. So
All right.
I can see a lot of people joining already.
Yeah, they had their laugh already.
So I think everyone has been ready for 15 minutes. So I assume we can already start.
All right, great.
Are you ready for the interview, Mr. Reedy?
Of course, quite some time already. Yeah.
We were for 15 minutes, exactly.
Yep. Alrighty.
All right, so
let's go.
So instead, I unfortunately can't see the live questions right now, but we have a lot of sent questions. So I'll try to go over those. So we definitely have numerous questions from students that I'll just ask you on behalf of them. So sure. I think we can just start. Starting with, which was actually a question from students that was sent on Instagram last week. So that's the first one, and that is, how are you doing? Yeah,
I'm doing fine. Health-wise, for sure, but mental-wise, like everybody, I must say it's horrible sitting inside all the time, not being able, to see people like your faculty, to see the students, but also to see your family, my kids, and that's, like everybody, I don't like it. And the longer it takes, the more annoying it is. But yeah, I have a good position. Well, we have a garden at our house, so I can go outside, so I have nothing to complain. But yeah, could be better.
Yeah, so it's of course asking you some getting used to, of course. But regarding your work situation, are you still as busy as you used to be? Are you more busy? And yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's quite different. To some degree, it's more busy than it used to be, because we have a lot of meetings. In the beginning, of course, there was a lot of meetings regarding, we had a faculty corona crisis team. We had a lot of meetings there. I have central meetings as well. And I must say, it's really, you get really tired from looking at a screen all day and talking to all the faces, and it's quite, what can I say? It takes a lot of effort, and I hear from everybody that they are really tired at the end of the day. And what I see, I get a lot of email, even more than I had before. And it's quite busy, and quite a lot has to be arranged, as you all know. How are we going to do the education? What's happening to the exams? And the students have questions, my staff has questions, so there was plenty to do. And then the normal work also continues. We would like to submit proposals, take part in all kind of international things, so it's quite busy.
Oh, it's at least good to hear that you still have something to do. I think that's maybe also nice. But you're not sitting at home.
I have something to do.
Talking about those main things, you still say that normal dean work, so to say, also still continues. Do you recognize a certain shift in work regarding this at-home situation, or regarding your work as a whole? Because it might be that some promotions, for example, are postponed in that sense. Do you recognize a certain shift in the type of work you're doing right now?
Yeah, of course. In the beginning, I would say the first month, we were completely occupied by everything related to Corona. It looked like in the hospital where they were only also dealing with patients who were suffering from COVID infection. The same happened to us as well. There was so much to do, and now slowly we get more in a regular pattern where you can start doing other stuff as well. But it is really different. For instance, my agenda, I had to give a keynote speech at a conference in Denmark last week, actually. Next week, I would have gone to Montreal to give a speech there. It's all about sustainable aviation and quite a few more things. And all of that is gone now. So all the external work has been replaced by internal stuff quite a bit. And slowly we are now getting back. And I think that's true for all our colleagues. And I think you will understand that all the professors, all the lecturers, they really had a lot of work. I mean, if I'm complaining, I have no right to complain. But they had to get all their lectures online. They had to think about how are we going to do the examination. They really had a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. That's certainly something that also is raised very much in the faculty's mind. Later in this interview, I want to take a bigger part of time to talk about the education and what we can expect to come in coming part. So I think we can definitely get back to that. I think it might be nice to ask you a question. A lot of things and photos are going on about people that change their working environment, so to say, that change their room into offices. Could you just tell me a bit lightheartedly about how your workstation, so to say, has changed opposed to being at the office and the faculty?
Yeah, quite a bit. Actually, in order to stay moving a little bit, because I noticed that I'm sitting way too much, I'm actually moving around the house all the time. So sometimes I'm working in the living room. I sit there. Then this morning I did a little bit of work in the garden, which was nice. It's quiet and I can work there. Right now I'm sitting in a room upstairs, which is nice and quiet. My own office room, I made too big a mess of it. I have too many papers, so I occupy one of the rooms of my kids who left house now, and it's nice and tidy, so I can easily work here. Yeah,
and it's nice that you're also still able to do that. Does it take combining? I noticed you saying that your kids are also home. Have you learned some lessons, or maybe can you provide some tips to our students and your colleagues about working from home?
Yeah, it's really very important to make sure that you sit properly. In the beginning, I was too lazy to take my proper chair, and I was using a normal one wherever I was. And the day before yesterday, I really got pain in my neck, which I think is due to just not sitting right. So make sure you have the right equipment if possible. And I think it's also very important to get some exercise to some degree, to keep moving a little bit. And in my own case, I'm sitting way too much. We bought a rowing machine a while ago, and I'm very pleased for that. So I can do some exercise in between, and that's good.
So you also suggest to the students to just go a hop around the block, for example?
Yeah, of course you don't have to keep sitting inside, But what I think is also extremely important is to stay in touch with friends, And what I think is nice, I again came in touch with some long-time friends or people I didn't see for many years. So you are worried about how people are doing. So I lived in the US about 30 years ago. And we got a couple of friends from that time. So yeah, we are talking 30 years ago, who now have also a Skype or a Zoom group. And we have a sort of reunion, and it's really funny. This would never have happened otherwise. And it's so natural now to use all these tools like Zoom and Skype and whatever, or Instagram. And yeah, it's really a great way to get in touch with people all over the world. And I hope also will help us, prevent us from going to the other side of the world, perhaps for just a few minutes, for instance, which sometimes happens. We have to think about how we can do things differently. And certainly in view of aviation, yeah, of course, the whole world is upside down now, and people are thinking, how will we manage in the future?
No, of course. Maybe one of the ironic things, if I may say, is that in this situation we were just quite a crisis. We're learning things for the future. And have you maybe already, you talked about aviation, but also about us as a faculty. Do you maybe see, what would you like to see that the world takes away from this situation? How would you, like in terms of aviation, for example, or space flight, what changes would you like to see that happen because of this?
Yeah, actually, if we look at aviation to start with, yeah, you know that I've been a very big supporter of sustainable aviation. I always said, well, the major theme of our faculty regarding aviation should be that we make it really truly sustainable. And I think that's the proper route. So we have to keep doing that. how we present this message right now, I think it's a bit difficult, because something I don't like, I also see parties that are using this whole corona crisis to sell their message or to make a point. And in fact, we are not going to change our approach, actually, since we have been in favor of sustainable aviation, put everything in making it really truly sustainable. And now I don't want to say, hey, look at this crisis, and then use this as an argument. Yeah, I don't know how to explain, but it's a bit difficult. And it's a delicate thing. And something I don't like is that I see some parties that take advantage of what's going on just to make their point. And sometimes it doesn't feel right.
So you think
So,
there should be lessons, but it should be with some form of integrity.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, the lessons, yes, we will have to do something about the aviation. The good thing is we see the impact. If you look at the sky, could be coincidence in the Netherlands, but if you look at the sky, you don't have as much cirrus clouds as we used to have. Of course, we don't have the contrails, this is obvious, but contrails quite often, they spread and they lead to cirrus clouds. I must say the night sky is beautiful. But then on the other hand, I'm not a meteorologist, so it could be coincidence. But what is not a coincidence, if you look at satellite images, and now I'm coming to space, where we look at the air quality all over the world, the images that we get, they are really stunning. And what this whole crisis gives us is, if we look at the air quality, we have a reference point now where we see where it can go to. And again, I don't want to say, hey, that's the advantage of this crisis, because the whole crisis is terrible. And what it is doing to people, all the people who get sick, who die, all the grief and hardship, and people are lonely and whatever. So I'm not going to talk about advantages, but there are some things we can take from it, and we learn some things from it, for sure. Yeah.
It's nice that we can take away something. Something else also hinting towards, which are also in line with some questions we got from students, is in line with the purpose of this interview. So we set this up to get in contact. It's also on an initiative from your colleagues to maybe set up this meeting. So we would like to hear their questions, and I think it's great that you present yourself at this opportunity to hear them. So why do you think it's important to stay in touch with our students, and also what would you like to hear from them?
Yeah, it's, to be honest, one of the things that I'm really worried about is indeed the students. How are they doing? Like, I can imagine that there are quite a few people who feel lonely. I always say it's very important that you have a network. Therefore, it's really important that we have a VSV, for instance, who is bringing the students together. Imagine you are here, you're from abroad, and now you are suddenly locked up in your room. You are not able to see your friends. You cannot go to your family. Quite a few students, they left, they went abroad. It would be great to be in touch with them. So I'm not sure if there are students from all over the world that log in right now. But yeah, I want to connect to them, reach out to them, and tell them that we care about them. We are really worried. One of the things that I'm very much worried about is for the new students coming next year, because we don't know what's going to happen then. And then it's even more important to stay in touch. And I think there is also a very important task for the VSV there to do something. But I would like to hear from the students what they worry about, and quite a few worries I think I know. So it's what about the online lectures? Do we learn the things we have to do? What about the exams? I know that some people are worried about the exams or dissatisfied. And I think this is also an important a possibility to talk about this and to understand each other, because I can guarantee everybody that all our staff, they are so committed to do the right thing, but in the current circumstances, everything is different.
Yeah, I think that's something that's really good of you to notice, because we got a lot of questions. I think the most questions from students are indeed about the field of education. And we have already talked about with your colleagues that also helped set up this meeting, that it's sometimes quite logically overseen how hard the faculty works, and I can already see some questions as well in the screen coming
I
up.
see some questions too. For instance,
Yes.
I read right now on, do you think that the lectures next year will be on campus or online?
Yeah. Do you have an answer to that?
It's difficult. I don't know. The only thing that I can say that is that we very soon will have to take the decision what we are going to do. And I think it's a wise thing, at least for all our staff, to start preparing to do it online. So if we need to do it, we can do it. I can impossibly say to all our staff, let's say mid-August, hey guys, good news, in 2 weeks the lectures start and we still have to do it online. That would be really a disaster. So I hope it will be on campus or part-time on campus or for a certain, but I have no clue. We don't know. We have to see how things develop. So of course we want to do it on campus, but I don't know.
So basically, you don't know, and that's why you're trying to assume the worst and prepare for it before it actually happens.
Absolutely. We have to think about different scenarios, and that's what we are doing as well. And we are doing it at the level of all the deans and the central board. We are looking at, okay, so we are going to start up. How could it look like? Are we going to go back to normal? Is it going to go slowly? Are we going to have a 1.5 meter economy? What does it mean for our students? You can imagine if we have to do things differently, we wouldn't sit in the lecture room like we are sitting now. And can we accommodate 26,000 students who are, well, for a big part coming from the railway station? These are the questions that we are worrying about. And education is really a challenge.
So the questions are broader than just can we accommodate them themselves. You're also thinking about travel and that kind of stuff. Maybe something I want to go to, which is kind of linked to this, but even we got questions from prospecting freshmen, which are still in high school, and they say they are, of course, it's like, does it also affect me, and what things can I expect for me starting my first year at aerospace engineering? Is that also something that the faculty is working on?
Yeah, but certainly for them, like I said, imagine, I don't know, I hope that we can be on campus, and certainly if anything then for the freshmen that would be important, because imagine you start at a new university and they tell you, okay, stay where you are, stay in your own country, stay at home with your parents, and then we do everything online. How do you get attached to this faculty? How do you understand what we are there for? How do you get the right mindset? That is going to be really tough. So there is a lot of attention to the new freshmen. Yeah, and we think about that for sure.
And you also in your previous answer you hinted that it's just more than just thinking about our faculty. And I also got a question beforehand on Instagram saying this is a more general question, but also maybe in the light of the Corona crisis. In what fronts do you work together with deans of other faculties? And are there also maybe some things that you are working on yourself that other faculties aren't? In what types of situations do you draw your own line?
Actually, we have different working groups. So there are the teams that are really looking at how people feel. So let's say the well-being of our community, our students, our staff, our education. I'm myself involved in a team that is looking at how can we restart the research. What type of measures do we have to take there? And to be honest, for a big part, that is really very much intertwined to what's happening in the education, and the same things apply. So that's what we are working on regarding the Corona crisis. And then on top of that, there are also some initiatives, and I think at TU Delft we have wonderful initiatives, mainly from students also, who are thinking about what can we do to find solutions, like the ventilator that has been developed. In our faculty, for instance, we are thinking about what about the airflow? How is the virus going to be spread? Is it in aerosols or not? And we have our thoughts about that. We want to find solutions how we can make it workable. Eh? Let's say we would have the 1.5 meter economy, and you see, well, people all over the place, all over the world, they are thinking about solutions. They have screens between people, but we want to have, let's say, a well-based scientific view on what is needed there. So yeah, and in that sense, I'm involved a little bit myself as well.
Yeah, I already see you hinting towards also that we're looking for solutions, but of course, to be there solutions, there's challenges. What type of challenges do you see, not only in our bachelor and masters, but maybe also for PhD students here, that are still worth solving and we can all help with?
Yeah, for PhD students, they of course have to, quite often, certainly in our faculty, have to do experiments. And I'm very happy. I'm really pleased that we didn't close the faculty completely. So for experimental work, there is still room to do so. But what I see in reality is that the pace at which we were running, it really went down. I mean, right now the number of experiments really dropped quite dramatically, and we see that quite a lot of PhD students, for instance, they started doing the writing or theoretical work, literature search, whatever. They also might be a little bit less effective to some degree, like everybody is in this situation. But really crucial experiments still can continue, and that's good. At some point, we really have to speed up again. And yeah, the same applies, of course, to students who have to do practical work. We are not a faculty where you only learn by looking in books and things you can see online, but you also have to do some practical work. So what I know is that some of our professors, they are working on making movies where they can show what you would have seen otherwise yourself. Or they make sure that we get data that you can start to work with. And it's not a full replacement, of course, of being there and do the work yourself hands-on. We fully realize, but we try to find solutions there. And that, yeah.
I think it's nice to emphasize, maybe from your story, that even though there are not solutions to every challenge yet, we're working extremely hard into solving them. In that regard, do you also already see? You already talked about it yourself, about initiatives that are coming up in this time. Do you see any initiative that you like that comes up, and how we're dealing with the situation? And would you maybe also, what types of initiatives would you like to see more, both in education and also made by students or by your colleagues?
Yeah, like I said, I'm one of the things that I was very much this is an underestimate saying pleased with. I was thrilled by the fact that I saw that so many people, without being asked, started working on solutions right away. I can only imagine that there is also, let's say, with our staff, our teachers, they have a lot of stress as well. You must imagine some of them have small kids. They now only don't have to teach you, but they suddenly have to teach their 7-year-old at home, which really is a handful, I understand. I know by experience that your own kids don't want to listen to you because you're a stupid teacher, you don't understand, and and they have to deal with that. And then at the same time, they have to make things for the university. And I did not get any complaint at all. Everybody was doing the work. So this is wonderful. And like I said, the initiative that people take to make material available, do it by themselves. They say, well, actually, we think as a replacement for practical work, we start recording movies so we can show. These are things that are wonderful. And it's, I think there are also possibilities for the students to do things together, to share certain experiences. This is, I think this is important. And if this whole period is teaching us one thing, is the importance of being flexible. Unfortunately, nobody in the world can continue doing the things that they used to do. This involves your work, your personal life, your social life. So we have to be inventive and we have to be flexible. And I hope that is a lesson that we can take along as well. But
I think there's also maybe a question from one of the students. I remember that was also in this line. I can see it gives you a lot of passion to see people still working and putting their effort in to make the best out of the situation, and how also that enthusiases people. But one question I had from a student was, what enthusiases you? What gives you positive energy working nowadays?
Yeah, for me always what really inspired me, I think everything we do is about inspiration. I try to inspire people, and I get inspired by what I see. So what gives me energy is when I see what people come up with, the passion they put in things, the ideas they have, the creativity. And for me to fuel this inspiration, I need contact. That is really important. And I must say, this is what you miss when you are sitting alone at home, and you get it from occasions like this. Of course, also some meetings I get where we come up with, we work on new things. That gives me a lot of energy. Like I said, when we think about how can we find a solution to make things workable again by really having let's say, a scientific approach to what's going on regarding the spread of the virus. We could contribute in that sense. That gives me energy. But what also gives me energy is getting all the news. Of course, I get a lot of mail where people say the things that are still continuing and going well. People are still being promoted. People have wonderful findings experimentally, for instance. Students are still getting their degree. All these things are inspiring as well. But it is a bit more difficult than it used to be, I have to admit. And the same is certainly true for all of you. Yeah.
Do you maybe have any prior experiences in your job or in your working career that have helped you tackle today's challenges?
Yeah, I'm not a person who tries to give up easily, and it's, of course, I never experienced something like this. I'm not so old that I'm born in the Second World War, for instance, so I can talk. And you could say that always things went rather smoothly, but of course, also in my case, that's not true. I also had occasions during my career where I thought, wow, this is not going the way I want. I don't get the opportunities that I'm looking for. I think I can do a lot more. So it could be related to the group you were in, or the management you encountered, or a setback regarding grants you applied for and didn't go, or you applied for a job and you got it, but then there were some circumstances didn't happen. So what I learned is to not give up and look at the good things. So I try myself to always look for the good things I can take from it. So and I think it's a bit dangerous to say it that way, because it looks like I see the big advantage of this crisis. Now that's not the message, but still I want to take something from it and I want to continue. And this is a message I also would like to give to all our students. Don't let yourself be really set back. Indeed, it's a fact. Things are not going the way you expected, that you hoped for, that you came here for instance. And I right now see also a question on the screen where also a student is worrying about what's next. Now I will get my degree in aerospace engineering, and then what? Are we going to have a job in aerospace engineering or whatever? To be honest, I think there will be a different world. It will change quite a bit. I am not afraid that all of you will get a proper job somehow. And so things might be a bit different, but imagine how your world would be like if you wouldn't have a proper education. And one thing I'm really proud of all our students, to be honest, I think we have about the smartest students we can get. It's everybody, people are being selected. You all have to work incredibly hard. I really see that. I dare to say that in our faculty, students, they work above average, let's say. The workload is quite tough. You learn a lot of wonderful things, and that is going to be valuable during the rest of your life. And there is a need for that. So take the flexibility along as well and apply that wherever you can. So I wouldn't be stressed too much about not getting a job. I think you will get a job.
So you think in a certain sense, positive energy and positive attitudes will at least partly help this problem.
Yes, and talk to people. Yeah. Look at the bright side of life as well. Yeah, it's easy said than done, but it's so important.
Maybe this brings my, also with regard to time, to my last question, and that is, would you have, for everyone watching, for students, for PhD students, for your colleagues, or anyone else watching, would you have some encouraging words for us to go into Q4, Q5, or even into the next year with?
Yeah, I think life will go on. And certainly for us. So the things that you all are doing were meaningful, are meaningful, and might be even more meaningful in the future. The topics that we work on are the proper topics. And left or right, it's not going to stay the way we are in right now. Things will improve, for sure. How long it's going to take, I don't know. Hopefully sooner than later. But keep in mind that things are going to be better. I also would like to ask all of you, take care of each other. It's really important. So, and there VSV has an enormous important task. Think about some other students. Perhaps you know a few where you think, well, they might be isolated. They're away from their family. They're away from their friends, whatever. Take care of them as well. Be a little bit active in that sense. Also, I think it's important for all of us to understand each other. We have to understand the students, and we do. I mean, I know that quite a few students there were really upset about the way the exams went, and we understand that. And I also would like to tell the students, you can rest assured that we will, have your worries on the top of our mind. So we won't be too hard. We try to find solutions for that. But keep in mind as well, it's impossible to do it the way it was. So change your mindset a little bit perhaps there. And if you have problems, if there are things, then please get in touch. We are there to help. We care about our students. It's not only about me, but I think this applies to everybody. Talk to your professor, your lecturer, to the student counselors. We are there to help. And if you have specific worries, just ask. And in that sense, I hope that the feeling that we are still there together, being a great faculty, I think one of the greatest in the world, I really mean it, that should provide some comfort. And perhaps, the situation will get better sooner than we now think.
I would like to maybe close off as well with emphasizing some of your last words as well, which was one of the purpose we started this interview, is to ask students and employees what's on your mind. And I know well sure that we unfortunately can't handle all the questions, but as we already told your colleagues that has also had the initiative for this, if you have questions, ask them. You can send them to the VSV as well. You can send them to the faculty, as you just heard your dean saying. I think if your questions haven't been answered, don't hesitate to still ask. I think that's maybe something nice to close up with, and that we have to do it together. Mr. Werij, I want to thank you very, very much for your time in doing this. I think it's very well appreciated, not only for us within the VSV, but also from all students and your colleagues. And hopefully, maybe we can do that sometime again soon, as you said yourself.
Patrick, this is what I wanted to say as the last thing. If people appreciate what we are doing here, I'm more than willing to do it more often. I mean, this is. I'm glad it finally worked. We did a try and it worked right away. And of course, the real thing, you don't. It didn't work in the beginning, but I'm so happy it worked out. And it's no effort, whatever. So if you want to do it again, I'm always in for it. So my day is more flexible than it used to be. It's quite busy, but I'm flexible in setting up a time slot. So. And it's my pleasure to do so and to be in touch with all of you. And then indeed, in the meantime, we'll look at some questions, come back to that, and we try to also use that in our communication. There are a lot of work has been gone in setting up the right communication. This is something that I learned from this as well. It's really incredible how much time it takes to think about the proper message. If I think about our communication department, they did a wonderful job. But behind the screens, I can tell you there was a lot of talking to get to make sure you get the right message there.
Exactly.
All right.
So I think the next step is then maybe to set a new date for a second interview, and then we can also look back on the last thing. Once again, thank you very much. For the technicalities, you have to end it on the top right of your screen.
Thank you.
I think then that concludes the interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you for teaching me Instagram. I can add it to the list of the tools that I'm using. Thanks a lot. All right. Thanks, Patrick.
We'll speak. Thank you so much.